Hey, I don't know how to start this. This is weird. I don't even really know why I'm recording it, but I just feel like maybe I should document how I'm feeling right now and what I know, if it's even real. As dramatic as that sounds, there's a lot of things that I'm thinking and saying that are like, I can't believe I just said that or thought that. This is so weird, surreal. But it's day 3, no power. Last night was another night of not really getting great sleep. I slept at my neighbor's house. Yesterday, my neighbor and I bonded together and pretty much just stuck together to be safer. So Monday evening was when the wind really started blowing in and power went out. Woke up Tuesday and started my day like I would normally, just without power. No big deal. Didn't make my cup of coffee. Actually chatted with my friend Sasha, went for a morning walk, did my morning yoga, and went off to start what was supposed to be my first day at Lululemon. Decided to start working there on island just to fill the gap a little bit between yoga teaching and it's not important anyway. That feels so weird to think about that day and where I am now. That day was 8/8, the Lionsgate portal opening. And I opened up that day thinking about manifestations and getting clear on my vision, and had made some career changes and wanted to really pour into myself. And then power was out everywhere. So streetlights don't work. Then you start to realize when the power is out, like how much you really rely on those modern conveniences. Got to the store for my first day and the power's out, the mall's closed, but we were just, making the most of it, thinking power would go on in a few hours. Maybe the store will open late. There's always work to be done. So did that until it started to get to where we realized like, maybe things are not so great. The wind's literally blowing this way. It was intense. I've never seen wind like that before. There was a really long line outside of the ABC store at the mall for people just waiting, I think, to get food and stuff, I suppose, because everything else was shut down. Then you start to think, oh yeah, there's no power, so restaurants are probably open. I wonder if the grocery store will be open. I've got some food in my fridge. This is probably just going to be a day, so no big deal. So driving home in the afternoon, there's just debris everywhere, branches, trees. The trees are sideways. I'm talking to Adam on the phone, but the service is starting to go out. And I just find myself wanting to pause and just, I woke up this morning and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. This feels so weird. Just sat there staring at the wall for 5 minutes. Anyway, get home and didn't know anything about the fires at that point, because here's the thing. When you don't have power and then you lose cell service and you don't have Wi-Fi, and those are like really important, necessary means to find out information. And so I decide, okay, maybe I'll just go for a walk on the beach and get outside, get some air after being indoors for a few hours. So go outside and walk the beach on Katapali and see there's just smoke billowing up into the air. And where I walked is mostly a resort touristy area. So a lot of people standing on the beach with their phones filming, and I'm thinking, that's Lahaina town. Like, I think, wow, like we were warned, like the dry conditions and this crazy intense wind is like perfect storm for a fire. So I took some video of that and was like, wow, I don't know what to think about that. Like, okay. So walk back home, get inside, thinking about how my food's been in my refrigerator for 24 hours and things are starting to probably go bad. So thinking about, okay, water for the next day. And then just, I had a little bit of daylight left, so I was like, I'm just gonna write some letters. And so I wrote some letters to some family members. I did a really long meditation and Lion's Gate manifestation, and I felt so excited and empowered by that vision. And now on the other side of all that, I'm thinking, God, does it even matter anymore? Like, that, what was that all about? And the other thing about this that I find really interesting is, like, the Lion's Gate theory is about connecting with nature too, for that powerful manifestation process to happen. And I was very aware that while I'm looking out my window, everything's blowing sideways, and how strong nature was representing herself and as a cleansing. And of course, in the yoga tradition, you know, as hard as it is to have destruction, it does create a new space, new beginnings, change, opportunity for something better, opportunity for something new to come about, to be fully realized. So creation and destruction, destruction and creation, there's a balance. And I was thinking, oh, these winds are really bringing in a lot of change, because they're, and it's intense, and it's a lot of change all at once. So this will be interesting to sort of adapt to. Just those thoughts, you know, you don't know what they mean sometimes. So didn't sleep Tuesday night. Wind was going crazy. Woke up Wednesday morning and was like, okay, well, you know, I don't have cell phone service. I guess I'll go to work. I haven't heard otherwise, you know, and if I get there, great. And if I don't get there and I tried, and I'll turn around and come home. So I teach at the Montage yoga classes, and I had not really realized what was happening behind me down at Lahaina town, because it didn't have information. So, and I'm going this way, going north. So that's all behind me. But I get up again, try to get into some type of sense of my normal morning routine without power. And 6:30 a.m. off to work I go, driving around. I'm seeing cars pulled over on the side of the highway. I see cars piled up at the Kapalua airport, the small private airport up here. There's this energy in the air that feels really discouraging. I mean, I was getting emotional driving in. I'm thinking, gosh, what is this? Get to the Montage, and I see that it's like blocked off. Get into the employee entrance, and there's just a few of us chatting. Greg is talking about what he knows, and the overnight crew was talking about what they knew. And suddenly I'm hearing all this information of, you know, devastating fire, apocalyptic scenes, people saying, so-and-so lost his home last night, so-and-so lost her home. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, trying to take in this information. And then here I am showing up to teach yoga, which I'm thinking, you know, stressful times, people still need it. I'm here, but and I think the setting was probably not ideal. So then it's like, well, what do I do? I'm here. The hotel's not operational, I guess. There wasn't any information. No one was really on site to say, do this, don't do that. So we're all just kind of like, okay. Well, at that point I was like, well, spa's clearly closed. So I guess, is there anything I can do? You know, can I help out? And then a gal comes running down the hallway and is like, I'm hearing that my neighborhood's being evacuated. I gotta go. She's emotional. I was like, where do you live? I can give you a ride. And it turns out she's in my neighborhood. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, here we go. So she and I are like rushing to get to the employee parking lot. And I was telling her how traffic was backed up pretty bad, because obviously there's no lights. The lights aren't working, but it looked like there was a really long line of cars trying to get to the gas station. I was like, I don't know how long it'll take us to get back home. And so she had a moped. So she's like, I think actually it'll be better for me just to get on my moped and she can speed by. And I was like, okay. So I actually got home. It didn't take too long. And everything was fine here. Decided to go for a walk and see if I could get any information. Haven't talked to anybody outside, friends or family. Can't. I can see texts populating on my phone, but I can't respond to them. I go for a walk down to the beach again where I normally walk, and I see lines outside some of the restaurants, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like maybe they have food that they can sell or whatever, and later learned that a lot of the restaurants were just giving the food away because it was going to go bad. And that there were a lot of tourists here that obviously don't have options for food if restaurants are closed, and the grocery store had a really long line at the ABC store yesterday, and there was a really long line at the Times Market. I'm walking down to the beach, and I'm seeing everybody standing out with cell phones in their hands, just like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe I can get service. So I'm walking around, and sure enough, Adam calls me, and it took like 10 different phone calls to try to get information shared. And it was enough for me to be able to say, I'm safe from the fires, but like been without power for 2 days now. Not really sure. There's a lot of chaos around here. What actually this all means, because there's no information on the ground. So at least I felt like somewhat information was out that I was okay for now, and get back to decide to walk back home. And on my walk back home, I'm seeing all kinds of police activity at Times Market, and later found out from my neighbor that people were like trying to break in and looting, and fights and stuff were happening, and she was hearing that people were breaking into cars around the area. So then that reality sets in, and you realize you're not safe, especially female girl walking around. So we decide to band together, and this is the unfortunate thing, when like survival needs kick in and it's food, shelter, water, and you don't feel safe, this is where things can become very disruptive, and this is when humans sometimes are not cool. So we just sort of realized we're in not the most safe area anyway, and if people become very desperate, like what does that mean for us being here by ourselves? So that feeling of safety definitely heightened my sense of awareness and how I was seeing things, and how I was seeing things changed. I was really trying to anchor into positivity and gratitude and just being very simple, like 1 hour at a time. But now my situation is, I'm scared. I feel selfish for being scared because I have my home still and people don't have their homes. Anyway, so we just, when you don't have information and you don't have a plan, you sort of just like wander, and it's such a weird, strange feeling, and I don't like it, and it's unfamiliar to me, and I'm sure it's teaching me a lot right now. But we just kind of like walked around for hours yesterday just trying to see if anybody knew anything. Went over to the beach park, and unfortunately just a lot of people hanging around drinking and managing their trauma that way, I suppose. And finally made it back. We decided to walk back to the beach that afternoon, and I got another bar, and I was actually able to have a little conversation again with Adam, and kind of he was able to tell me like what they were seeing on the news, and ask me questions, and I could fill the gap a little bit. He could fill the gap a little bit for me. But again, like no power, no access to grocery stores now, because by now they've blocked off the grocery stores. People were parked at there's one gas station in this area, and they were parked at it with a line of cars, but like I don't know why they're parked there. I don't know if they think gas is coming. I don't know. Like that part I haven't figured out. I luckily have gas in my car. I've been able to charge my phone intermittently through my car. So we walk back down to the beach, and she's talking to her family, and I'm talking to Adam, and literally talking about feeling scared and uncomfortable because of the looting and the break-ins. And there's unfortunately some men that had been catcalling walking around, which have never have had that happen, and it's just very alarming and very unsettling to have that behavior showing up right now when you feel very exposed and very unsafe. So I'm really glad that my neighbor and I are bonding together to stay safe. Anyway, the most crazy, beautiful thing happened. I'm talking to Adam, and this group of dolphins literally just comes, I mean, so close to the shore, swimming by, flipping up in the air, and I'm like, oh my God, there's like, I've never seen this before, and this is happening right now. And it was a reminder for me, like, there's still beauty, there's still good, there's still love, there's still kindness, there is still all of that happening. And I'm gonna choose to make that the first thing I see. But I also know I have to be safe, and I have to be alert and aware of my surroundings right now. Anyway, my neighbor and I were like, what do we do? So she packed up some extra snacks. I have like a big bag of walnuts, and I have some frozen blueberries that have melted into a soup. I ate my leftover tofu, which probably wasn't a good idea because my stomach was definitely not agreeable with that. Anyway, I've got some things. I'm not really sure what to think about the food thing right now. But we're like, maybe we can see if anybody needs anything. How can we help? We found out that there was an evacuation center close by, so we drove up to it to see if we could help. Everyone said they had it under control. They were actually at the Maui prep school. They were getting everybody, homeless people, displaced tourists, people who were evacuated, bus out to another evacuation point, or to, if you were a tourist, from my understanding, they were taking them to the airport to get those people home. And then people that are displaced are getting, hopefully, I heard, but again, we don't know anything for sure, that they were maybe getting hotel stays, hopefully. So we drove up to the small airport last night and got really good cell service. So I was able to have a really long conversation with Adam. And at the same time, I had like 50 plus text messages, and I have tried several times to either respond, but that bounces back, or I've tried to respond and I don't know what to say. I'm okay, but I'm not okay. I know it's like, really fine overall in the grand scheme of things, but like, we don't have any information. So I'm like, how long are we going to be without power? Thank God we still have water, but like, I don't want to go into the what ifs, but I also need to plan and prepare to be safe and secure. And then it's like, I'm thinking about, do I go to work on Saturday and Sunday? I had some meetings today with some people, and I can't reach out to say I can't make it. I can't reach out to say to people who've reached out to me who I haven't talked to in a while, like, I'm okay, but I'm not okay. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to reply back to everybody and say I'm okay, I'm safe from the fires. Sucks that there's no power. But while that was happening, then this restaurant group from a restaurant drove up and was handing out some food to everybody, which was like really cool. I heard that maybe people were flying in some food and resources, which is great. I think the biggest thing that I'm sharing right now openly is like, there's nobody reaching out to us here on the ground, like, not immediate danger of the fire, but like without power, without access to a grocery store, without access to a gas station. I know there were people who were saying, I'm out of gas. What do we do? How do we stay safe? What are we supposed to do? And how can we help? More importantly, I want to help. I think we need to band together as a community and maybe pull our resources, but like, I don't know. I think that might be the plan for today, is to just try to reach out to people wandering around and see what we can do for each other. I just wanna. I want to go home, but I don't really know where home is. It doesn't feel like this is home. This has been such an intense adventure. 5 months on the island, and it's like really been rocking my world emotionally, physically, mentally. And I knew that's what I signed up for. It's just at a magnitude that I didn't anticipate. And this now is changing everything. It's changing everything. I don't even really know, like, that I can keep doing what I was doing before this. And I am thinking about, how does the island recover from this? How does the island rebuild from this, with people losing their homes, businesses lost, Lahaina town gone? What's the plan to help rebuild and re-nurture in a place that was already struggling so much? So the plan for today is charge our cell phones in my car, drive up to the airport, try to get service, ask around, see if anybody knows anything about anything. We listen to the radio and they keep saying tidbits, but then they'll say, for more information, go online. And it's like, you're forgetting that the people who are also listening to this cannot go online. Emergency services was down on the first day, and they kept saying, don't call, but text. Well, we felt a little unsafe last night, and at 10:30 at night in the dark, in the pitch black darkness, it sounded like people were breaking in and to cars, and could ask for help. Don't know. There is a little bit of rain coming in right now, so hopefully that is a good thing for the fires, because we still don't know if they're contained. It smells like smoke. I can smell it in the air. My eyes burn. I got really, really loved by the sun yesterday. I really need my practice. I'm going to get on my mat. I'm going to take a shower, and I'm going to go with my neighbor to see what we can do out there. I'll keep you posted.